Like the mom special. Not that anybody else wouldn't. Oh, come on. Oh, is this out of batteries? Oh, no. Ah, my iPad's off. That's not very nice. Oh, I can do it on my computer here. I think so. Nope. Hang on. Oops. Hello, TikTok. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out it's my sleep mode. Okay. Or my focus mode. Do not disturb. There we go. I can do it on my computer. Okay. Anyway, welcome everybody. Blah. I know if mom called. Yeah, that would be funny. Anyway, welcome everybody. John Aravosis here. Hello, Bjorn in Sweden. How are folks doing today? I got mosquito. Oh my God, I got mosquito bites last night. There's a mosquito in my bedroom. Town drives me crazy. I swear. The mosquitoes never go away in Washington. I literally have 2 mosquito bites on my arm from last night. I'm like, we never get rid of them. Middle of winter, mosquitoes. Again, I've had the door open a lot. I've got to put up that little screen thing I've got for the door because literally 2 mosquito bites. I am not amused. Anyway. So welcome everybody. It is Monday, March 31st. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Richard. I'm John Aravosis. This is our show. We do this every Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, US. I'm going to hit the light a little bit lower. I don't want to go too low, but it's a little too bright. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Big Hawk. Yeah. So welcome, guys. How are we doing today after a long weekend? Well, I'm not a long weekend. Oh, that's the Jester. The Jester hat's fun. Thanks, Ash. It is a fun. It was a new gift I saw today. It's cute. I think it's fun. Thank you, Big Hawk and Annie. All right, let's get rolling. As usual, actually, TikTok. Thank you, Grayson. As usual, TikTok, its deadline is pretty soon. Am I paid by Democrats? I'm paid by you, actually. So thank you for reminding me, everybody. Since our Mr. Troll was wondering who pays me, you pay me. I do this for a living. The way I afford to do this for a living is the gifts you guys get me and the subscriptions you buy. So if you don't like that troll, please get me some gifts and get me some subscriptions because that's how I afford to do the show. So thank you for that. I always love when they do that. I love when the trolls bitch about money because I was like, okay, let's talk about money. Oh, thank you. That hat is fun. Thank you, Martin. I like that Jester hat. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. Anyway, oh boy. So yeah, so let's do our usual. I'm gonna yawn again. Let's do our usual. We'll start with Trump in Washington. There's a good amount of news. Then we'll switch over to Ukraine. There's some news for Ukraine as well. Huge new tariffs on Wednesday. Thank you, Mario, for the gift membership that Doug gets for a month. Excellent. Thanks, Mario. Trump's going to have huge new tariffs coming into effect on Wednesday, April 2nd. Thank you, Flower Lady. Wednesday, April 2nd. We don't yet know what they're going to be. They might be like 20% on average is what people were estimating. Really, and I mean, the gaslighting, the lies, basically, just are kind of incredible on this. As you guys know, tariffs are taxes. That's what a tariff is. A tariff is a tax on goods that you buy from abroad. And what literally happens is if you are an importer and you import Mexican avocados, because 90% of America's avocados come from Mexico. So let's say you're a grocery store, whatever, or a middleman, and you buy avocados from Mexico. You pay $10,000 for your shipment of avocados, right? If Trump puts a 25% tariff on those avocados, when they come across the border, you've got to pay a 25% tax. It's just like coming into the country with tariffs. Like if you bring too much stuff with you from abroad, it's literally a 25% tax. And you've got to pay it at the border to release your goods. Trump's, one of his big economic advisors, Peter Navarro, who's a real piece of work. Navarro claimed today or this weekend that the tariffs are really a tax cut. Yeah, they're not. They're actually tax increases. He claimed the tariffs are a tax cut. And I was going to say the most incredible comment, although honestly, the most incredible comment is claiming a tariff is a tax cut when a tariff is literally a tax increase, and anybody can tell you. But he claimed that the tariffs are going to pay for Trump's tax cuts for the rich. Trump's tax cuts are costing $4.7 trillion in the history of our country. No one's done a tax cut that big. The typical Republican tax cuts that end up breaking the budget every time Republicans come into power are around 1.5 trillion, $2 trillion, maybe the biggest, like with Trump last time. That's it. Not it. That's a lot of money, but $2 trillion. Trump's tax cuts are 4.7 trillion. So 2 to 2.5 times the previous tax cuts. They're going to blow 4.7 trillion out of the budget. And they're claiming, and this is what Navarro claimed this weekend, that it's okay that we're putting tariffs on you because they're going to pay for the tax cuts. Here's the problem. What he just admitted was those tax cuts Trump claims he's going to give you, he's going to make you pay for them. That's what he admitted this weekend. The tariffs are on all the things you and I buy. They're saying that they're going to increase the price of stuff we buy, i.e. inflation, i.e. taxes. They're going to increase our taxes, and they're going to use our tax to pay for the tax cuts that go to rich people. So they're going to tax all of us in order to pay for the tax cuts for rich people. Like, that's insane. It's anyway, people are not happy about this. A new Fox News poll, which I thought was fascinating. New Fox News poll. Tariffs on imports will make products you buy more expensive, less expensive, or no difference. So the Fox poll was, do you think tariffs will make the products you buy more expensive, less expensive, or the same? More expensive, 69%. This is a Fox News poll, the Republican TV network. 69% say tariffs will make goods more expensive. 7% say tariffs will make goods less expensive. And 17% say no difference. 69% of Americans, per a Fox News poll, say that tariffs are going to make products more expensive. And they will. And in fact, we are already seeing workers are already being fired. This weekend, we had two different stories come up. One was actually both of them, I think, are steel. I think both are steel. One was West Virginia, 189 jobs being lost. The other was Minnesota and Michigan, 600 jobs being lost in each state, all because of the steel tariffs and the auto import tariffs. Trump has put 25% tariffs on steel coming into our country and on cars coming into the country, but also on auto parts coming into the country. And this is the problem. That steel that we import is used in American cars. First problem. Second of all, those cars we import, it's kind of a corollary of the first point. Every American car, now forget the cars we import, every American car has 50 to 60% of its parts come from abroad. This number blew my mind last week. So we make around 10 million cars every year in America. Of those 10 million cars, every single car has 50 to 60% of the makeup of the parts of that car come from abroad. Trump just increased the price of those parts 25%. So what happened was these companies, for starters, 1,200 people in Michigan and Minnesota, 189 people in West Virginia, which in West Virginia, they really can't afford to lose 189 jobs. They're closing plants down because they work with steel. And the steel price has become too expensive, so they can't sell their product. And this was the really scary part, they're seeing a decrease in demand for cars. And they said specifically because of Trump's tariffs. People aren't buying, well, not aren't, but demand for cars, American cars, is going down because of what Trump did with the tariffs. And these companies are having to lay people off now. This is exactly what I said was going to happen. The cost is going to go up, sales are going to go down, profits are going to go down. And what do companies do when profits go down? They lay people off. They lay people like us, like you and me, off. And that's what they're starting to do. Very bad. Again, no big surprise, but very bad. Trump and Elon. So Trump and Elon appointed a child to run the U.S. Institute of Peace. U.S. Institute of Peace, private organization, but sort of a non-governmental organization affiliated with the U.S. government, near the State Department, very pretty building. And that was one of the buildings that Elon wants to shut down because I guess peace is bad. Basically, any organization that tries to do good around the world, Trump is trying to kill. Any American organization, and Elon too, because they think it's woke and it's DEI and it's civil rights and all those things that they consider bad. So now they're trying to destroy the U.S. Institute of Peace. This was the building about a week or two ago that they tried to break their way in, Elon's people. Well, they appointed a child today. I'm going to see if I've got I'm quite literally a child. I have to see if I have this picture. They appointed a child as the head of this organization today, and his mission is to shut it down, to basically sell all its property, sell and or give back all of its property to, where is this? To General Services Administration, which basically is the storage people for the U.S. government. Let me find this really quick. Oh my God, this woman keeps messaging me. I keep getting like spam on TikTok from these like buxom women. And I always write them back and I go, okay. And she goes, oh, that's really nice to hear. I said, it's nice to hear that you're trying to scam me by being a buxom woman. I'm telling you I'm gay. Like AI, learn a little. Hang on here. Let me find this. Elon's man-child. Actually, oh, you know what? I've got it on Blue Sky. I don't know if I have Blue Sky readily available on here. I do not. Okay, never mind. This kid's a child who Elon hired to run. It's not even to run the U.S. Institute for Peace. They're shutting it down. They're just shutting it down. Why are they trying to close it? Because they're evil. No, I mean, quite literally, because they think anything the U.S. does to help people at home or abroad is bad. This kid, I'm going to find this kid's picture. You are going to die when you see the picture. It's one of his Doge guys who has like no experience. And when you see this kid, he looks like he's maybe 15. I'd be surprised if he shaves. Doge U.S. Institute Peace. I mean, quite literally, he hired a child. They fired nearly all the staff 2 days ago. Shoot, it was a tweet today, but I don't have access to it because it's on, like I said, I put it on Blue Sky. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Doge, U.S. Institute Peace, head. I'm trying to think of what else to call this. Oh, here we go. Yes, a Doge. Oh, shoot. A Doge employee has been put in charge of the U.S. Institute for Peace, according to a court filing. Nate Kavanaugh, there he is. Hold on. I'm going to find his picture now. Nate Kavanaugh, some man-child, has been put in charge. Here we go. Here we go. Typically, a diplomat runs the U.S. Institute for Peace, a diplomat with like 20 or U.S. diplomat with 20 or 30 years experience. This is the child who Elon Musk has put in charge of the organization that typically has a battery that typically has a diplomat with 30 to 40 year experience. I mean, it's, Nate Kavanaugh. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, lovely. Yeah, Kavanaugh's son. That's very funny. That's very funny. Yeah, it's disgusting. No, again, they are shutting down. They have decided that aspects of the U.S. government that they think are liberal or democratic, they're just going to get rid of. They think U.S. foreign aid is a liberal thing, so they got rid of it because they're naive, because they're uneducated and have no idea that U.S. foreign aid actually is, in a way, it's almost it's a weapon in a way. U.S. foreign aid is used to beat our enemies. U.S. foreign aid is used to beat the Russians and the Chinese and the Iranians and the communist Cubans. That's what U.S. foreign aid is for. Quite literally. Yes, it helps people. That's not why we do it. I mean, sure, we want to help people. That's not why we do it. We do it to actually beat these totalitarian governments around the world. But Elon and Trump think that U.S. foreign aid is liberal, so they just killed it. Any agency, they think the Department of Education is liberal. They killed it. They're threatening American universities now. And honestly, they're trying to destroy American universities because American universities are liberal. The problem is they're literally dismantling our country. American universities are the envy of the world, quite literally. We have the best universities in the world. There are great universities around the world, but we have the best. And collectively, we have the best universities in the world. That doesn't mean Oxford isn't like one of the best universities in the world, but collectively, we've got so many top universities for science, for research, for people to come here, but especially for research. Big part of the right. I mean, Silicon Valley, all the stuff we've got. They're trying to destroy our universities now because they think our universities are liberal. Trump today just threatened to remove $9 billion of grant money for Harvard, grants and contracts from the U.S. government. $9 billion with a B, guys, that he's now threatening to remove from Harvard. Now, Trump is claiming that it's because of how Harvard reacted to the Palestinian protests last year. That's not what's going on. I've talked about this before. I think it's horrific the way that American universities responded to the Palestinian protests. Those protests were violating freedom of speech of other students on campus, and they were anti-Semitic, a lot of them. I'm not going to argue with you here, but they were. The universities let them do it. They let them ban Jewish students from crossing the quad and stuff. They shouldn't have allowed it. And they did. And they let them take over university buildings. They shouldn't have allowed it. That's not what's going on. That's not why Trump is threatening $9 billion of money from Harvard. He's doing it because Harvard is a big liberal institution. That's why he's doing it. That's why he's doing it. That's why. Now, Harvard, I will say one thing. Courtney says, why does Harvard need $8 billion? That's not an unfair point. Harvard has like the largest endowment in the world. I don't know if their endowment is 100 billion or whatever it is. So to some degree, Harvard should be potentially financing some of that, but that's not what's going on here. What's going on here is an authoritarian, totalitarian, fascist effort to destroy American universities and remake them as some kind of institutions that don't believe in science, that don't believe in facts, that don't believe in data. That's what's going on. This is linked to all the attacks on science. This is linked to RFK Jr. getting picked as our health secretary. It's linked to all of that, guys. It's an attack on any kind of knowledge in our country, any kind of facts, any kind of intelligence, any kind of education. And they are going to destroy. They did this to Pennsylvania. They did it to Columbia. They're trying to destroy our top education institutions. And again, I don't care if you're liberal or conservative. We've got the top universities in the country. You don't go and destroy the universities. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. That's what these people are doing. At some point, and again, at the same time, they're increasing inflation. At the same time, they're increasing unemployment and people are getting fired. We just talked about thousands of jobs lost this weekend because of what Trump is doing with the tariffs. He's going to have even more tariffs in 2 days, historic tariffs in 2 days. I mean, let's see at some point if this stuff gets so big that people finally start speaking up and saying, you know what? I didn't vote. I mean, Trump this weekend, oh my God. Trump this weekend, when asked about inflation, his tariffs causing inflation, the quote from Trump was, I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less if his tariffs cause inflation, he said this weekend. I mean, at some point, again, I don't quite know what's going on with him. He's always believed in tariffs, but Trump is on a tear right now where he's kind of trying to do anything he can now. It's really, really screwed up. It's really screwed up. Anyway. Hold on here. What else we got? Oh yeah. So, and Trump is now threatening to stay in office for a third term, even though it's illegal. His people are talking about it more. It's not just illegal. It's, again, authoritarian. It's undemocratic. It violates every norm our country, stands for. Literally, it's banned in the U.S. Constitution. Trump said in an interview this weekend that there are methods where you can do it. There are plans. And he says, well, I'm not saying there's plans. There's ways. Yeah, they're wrong. The problem is this is part of that constitutional crisis thing where imagine like in states around the country where Trump's people just say, no, we're putting him on the ballot anyway, right? I mean, we go to court, we try to stop it. I mean, now mind you, there's no way Trump can have a fourth term. He is so old, it's not even funny. I mean, the pictures of him, he's starting to look like Biden, but he really is. I saw another picture of Trump today. He looks like Biden, Biden, right? He looks very old. He does not look good. I have a very hard time believing that he's going to be around for a fourth term. I think or a third term, I think is going to be too much for him physically. But whatever. The Trump's people in France, I don't know if you heard about this one. The Trump people sent letters to every French company dealing with that has, let me get the exact wording here. Every French company that has contractual ties to the U.S. government. So every French company that in some way deals with contracts with the U.S. government or whatever, sent them ties telling them to drop their civil rights policies. Now, I'm not convinced. I mean, it's kind of funny in a way because I'm not convinced that France is like a bastion of civil rights, to be honest. Like French companies, maybe they've gotten better, but you know, when I was in France, I haven't been there in 10 years now, but when I was in France, I was hearing stories about French companies just firing women because they got pregnant, or even asking women in interviews, say, well, you plan on getting pregnant? And like, so the whole notion that France is some bastion of civil rights, that Donald Trump needs to reverse that, is pretty funny. Thank you, Colin. But nonetheless, yes. So we wrote to French companies telling them they better drop their civil rights protections for their employees if they're going to deal with the U.S. government. I mean, they did the same thing to the Italians working at the Italian bases too. Remember, they sent them some threatening notes as well. Remember that? Keep the gifts coming, guys, by the way. TikTok, YouTube, subscriptions, gifts, etc. We like them all. They pay the bills, so please keep them coming. Marine Le Pen. This was an interesting story from France as well. Marine Le Pen was just sentenced to many years in prison for embezzlement. She is the head of the neo-fascist party in France. Her father was the head before, Jean-Marie Le Pen. He was a real piece of work. Thank you, Cinderella, for the gift. Marine is his daughter is the leader now. She leads in the polls, which is not good. I think she's 10 points ahead. Let me see. She's about 10 points ahead of her nearest rival in the polls for the presidential race. The next presidential race is 2027. Thank you, Chazak, for the hat. Is 2027. Because of this embezzlement conviction, she cannot run for president for 5 years. She can't run for election, I guess, overall for 5 years. She did get 2 years probation, as Jens just said. 2 years. Well, she got 2 years probation, and is it 2 or 3 years? Let me see here. Let me pull this up. Hang on. I'll tell you right now. Where is this? Okay, she was sentenced to 4 years, but 2 of those years are suspended, and the court said the other 2 could be served under a form of house arrest, like Jens was saying, an ankle bracelet, something like that. She also has to pay a fine of 100,000 euros, $108,000. Now, what's interesting, though, yeah, she's appealing, Gwendolyn says, which I wouldn't be surprised. What is interesting is she's so far ahead in the polls. And this is I'm sorry, but she's kind of the wannabe fascist leader in France. People hate when I say that, but it's true. Thank you, Delaney. It's she's Trump on steroids. Although Trump is getting close. I don't know anymore if I would say Le Pen is more fascist than Trump. I don't know about that. Before they were, and her party was. Now, not so convinced. But in any case, and finally this weekend, and then we're going to talk about Ukraine, Trump this weekend refused to rule out going to war with Denmark using military force to take Greenland. He basically threatened to use military force to attack Greenland this weekend, and to basically go to war with Denmark, which would be going to war against a NATO ally, which would be splitting NATO. Trump was, I believe, doing an interview with NBC News, and he said he was asked about military force with, would he be willing to take military force off the table? And he said, I never take military force off the table with regards to acquiring Greenland. This stuff isn't funny. Trump thinks he's being funny. He thinks it's cute. His people think it's cute that he's threatening to go to war. First of all, war is not cute. They think it's cute that he's threatening to go to war against a NATO ally. I mean, guys, the problem is far too many of Trump's supporters. I don't know if you'd be calling them anarchists or nihilists. I'm not sure what word you'd use, but Steve Bannon's a good example. Newt Gingrich was a good example too, really. They're people who want to destroy the government. They're people who want to see our government destroyed. That's why they want to destroy these agencies. The goal in and of itself is to see these government agencies be destroyed. They want to destroy Social Security, as Elon Musk has said, right? He thinks it's a scheme. He thinks it's a scam. They want to destroy Medicare, right? Which is our healthcare program. They want to destroy the government. That's what they're doing. And there's unfortunately too many of their supporters who think that's cute or funny or, basically the notion, I think, is that if the other guy, if Democrats don't like it, then let's do it. And, again, yeah, Democrats don't like Trump going to war with a NATO ally. Yeah, we don't. Right? That doesn't mean you should support it. Especially, I mean, at some point, I think Trump supporters need to decide, are there any of the issues they claim they cared about that they actually care about? The election was about inflation, and now inflation's going to go through the roof and is going through the roof because of what Trump is doing with tariffs. So obviously you didn't care about the economy. Number one reason you got elected was the economy. You didn't care because you care. It was not just the economy, it was inflation. And inflation now is set to go through the roof because of Trump's tariffs. So you didn't care about that. The second reason you claimed was the wars and foreign policy and the endless Biden wars, right? And now Trump has threatened 6 wars, I think. He threatened, previously he threatened to bomb Moscow and Beijing. People forget about that. He threatened to invade Canada and take their land. He threatened to invade Panama. He threatened now again this weekend to go to war with Greenland and Denmark. Are we up to 5 or 6 wars there? 7. He threatened to invade Gaza. Not even threatened. He outright said his plan was to invade Gaza, and we were going to basically fight house to house in Gaza to defeat all the terrorists somehow. I mean, so you got the Trump supporters who claimed that they cared about inflation. That was the number one reason they elected him. And now he no longer cares about inflation and literally said this weekend he couldn't care less if his tariffs cause inflation. So that issue's gone. Then the Trump supporters claimed they voted for Trump because he was going to end all the wars. And now Trump is threatening 6, 7 new wars, and nobody cares. I mean, you get what you deserve at some point. Yemen's I don't have a problem with Yemen. He's allowed to go after Yemen. Yemen's allowed to get something, and so is Iran, as far as that goes. No, you're forgetting who you're dealing with here. I am not a pacifist. I am not anti-military. U.S. military should always be used when it is necessary and when the goal can be achieved, right? When we are better off using the military versus not using the military, we should use it. So there's no problem in using the U.S. military, but you don't use it to take over Gaza. And literally, Israel has not been able to subdue Gaza. We're going to go in? Really? I mean, American troops are going to go door to door in Gaza? That's insane. Right? You don't use it to invade Canada. You don't use it to invade Denmark. I mean, this is crazy talk. That's the problem. Going after Iran, nuclear program, much more justified. Not saying you should do it, but way more justified. The Houthis in Yemen are extremely lucky they still exist. Everything's justified there. Doesn't mean you should do it, meaning you've always got to make sure what you're doing works. But don't think for a minute I'm going to defend the Houthis in Yemen from not getting attacked. That's not going to happen. Thank you, Marsha. All right. So let's move on and do a little Ukraine talk. We'll do a little Ukraine talk, and then we will hang out and do our free-for-all discussion here. It is day 1,131 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. Trump threatened Zelensky today over the mineral deal. This was kind of funny. Thank you, Ethan. So Zelensky said a few days ago, basically the Ukrainians have been saying that this mineral deal looks like it's BS. The Trump people, Trump's been basically trying to shake down Ukraine. He's trying to get Ukraine to give up half of its minerals, half of its oil, half of its natural gas to the U.S. in exchange for the $118 billion we've given them for support in the war. Now, the Europeans have given them a lot more than we have. Trump lies about it and claims we gave the Ukrainians $350 billion. We gave them $118 billion. He's lying. And again, that ought to trouble Trump supporters. The fact that he always lies to you about this stuff, at some point you should ask yourselves, am I comfortable with a man who lies to me nonstop? Right? I mean, that should bother you, but whatever. So he wants half of Ukraine's minerals, half of Ukraine's oil, and half of Ukraine's gas. The Ukrainians have recently said, I don't think so. That sounds insane. And Trump now says that he says that he's heard, the mineral deal might be in trouble if that Zelensky might not be interested in it anymore. And Trump said this weekend, if he does that, he's got some problems, big problems. He wants to be a member of NATO. He's never going to be a member of NATO. So Trump is basically threatening, again, shakedown. Honestly, if I were the Ukrainians, but also Europe, stop trying to be nice to this guy. You are never, ever he is going to shake you down again and again and again. For the Ukrainians, it's hard because what do you do? But honestly, first of all, I'd give him a deal that I wouldn't plan on upholding. Maybe, I don't know what, but you should not be giving the U.S. half of your natural gas, half of your oil, and half of your minerals just because Trump is trying to threaten you. And by the way, isn't it funny how everything Trump is doing now proves what he did before? Remember that I'd like you to do me a favor, though. The reason Trump got impeached, because he threatened Ukraine by withholding weapons. If the Ukrainians didn't go and concoct some fake evidence about Joe Biden, he extorted the Ukrainians in order to cheat the American presidential election. It would not be the first time he tried to cheat the American presidential election. It happened many times. But that's what he was doing. He's doing it again right now. It's extortion, what we are doing to the Ukrainians right now. And honestly, the Ukrainians should say no and let Trump. Honestly, whether the Europeans step in at this point, I don't know. I'd almost be tempted to have the Europeans step in and put your damn troops down. Put them down between the Russian and the Ukrainian troops and say, you know what? No more. This war's over. You got the land you did. That's too bad, but that's it, right? It's just not happening anymore. But man. Anyway, what else we got? Trump. So this was weird. A rare Trump doing the right thing. I'm not sure what's going on. It's a little strange, but Trump now says he's pissed off at Putin because Putin is being difficult. Trump has, you kind of have to laugh. Trump has suddenly realized that Vladimir Putin doesn't want peace and that Vladimir Putin is stringing him along. Thank you for the cat pause. Stringing him along and Putin doesn't want peace. And Trump told NBC, if I feel we're in the midst of a negotiation, you could say that I was very angry, pissed off when Putin said yesterday that, when Putin started getting into Zelensky's credibility, because that's not going in the right direction. He considers Zelensky not credible, but you're supposed to be here making a deal with him, whether you like him or not. So Trump has suddenly realized that Putin doesn't like Zelensky and Putin wants Zelensky, gone. And he's now saying he's pissed off at Putin. He went on to say that there's a psychological deadline. Oh, thank you for the tiara, Melody. That there's a psychological deadline to in Trump's mind of Putin having to agree to a deal by a certain point. And he said, if I think they're tapping us along, meaning if I think Putin is stringing us along, I will not be happy about it. He said, what else did he say? Hang on. He threatened that he would put secondary tariffs on all oil coming out of Russia. Now, this would actually be quite interesting if Trump, I don't think Trump will do this, but listen to this. Trump is threatening that if Putin doesn't go along for peace, he will, if there's any country that buys oil from Russia and they do business with the U.S., he will put a 25 to 50% tariff on, he's saying there'll be a 25% tariff on all oil? Okay, he's not making sense. This should not be a surprise. Trump isn't really making sense here. What he's saying is, if you buy oil from Russia, I believe he's saying you can't do business in the U.S., so he's going to cut you off of doing business in the U.S. with tariffs or whatever, if 100%, 200% tariffs, whatever, if you buy Russian oil, if Putin doesn't do this. Sanctions. It's not, look, this is Trump. You can't expect the English to be perfect here. I don't think he knows what he's talking about, but what he's basically suggesting is he's going to punish any country that does business with Russia if Russia doesn't agree to the sanctions. So, to the treaty, which I think would be kind of funny, actually, but we'll see. Update on the soldiers missing in Lithuania. They did apparently find three of them. Three of them had died. 4 U.S. soldiers disappeared last week, I think on March 25th, like 6 days ago. And their vehicle was found in a bog, like a marsh, like 15 feet or 5 meters down in the bog. They hadn't found the men. They just found 3 of them. One of them is still missing. They did not give any details as to whether they found them in the bog. It's looking increasingly like the vehicle, I guess, sank, like it ran without them seeing it, sank and killed them, like they couldn't get out. Really creepy. I mean, very creepy stuff. Thank you, Marshall. Thank you, Melanie, for the gifts. Poland has signed a $2 billion air defense deal with the U.S. This is interesting. This is a contract dealing with Patriot missile systems. We knew Poland wanted this. I'm glad to see it because Trump is allowing the deal to go through because Trump wants money. He wants the U.S. to sell stuff. What's funny is, and in this case, I think Trump isn't quite thinking, but that's good. We're selling Patriot missiles to Poland to use to defend themselves against the Russians in case there's a war with Russia. So this is actually really good. And it's something that normally Trump would not be supportive of because Putin doesn't support it and Trump, does what Putin wants. So it's actually very interesting that he's going along with this. Anyway, it's a good thing. It's a funny thing, but it's a good thing. Sweden unveiled its largest military aid package for Ukraine yet, worth $1.6 billion. Thank you, Cheryl, for the little green or the little smart bean, for the little blue smart bean. Thank you. And finally, the Netherlands just pledged over $2 billion for Ukraine in 2025, including $540 million for drones. All right. Let me adjust my screen so I can, as always, sit down a little bit, or sit down. I'm sitting, but so I can sit back a little bit and relax. There we go. Boom. All right. All right. A little bit less light. There we go. The light's a little bright. It's funny. You need the light, but it reminds me of doing TV. Like on television, you've always got these really bright lights in your eyes, and I hate it. But I always have to have that for the show because if I don't have the bright light on, this is what happens. So I have to have the light on, but it's very annoying because it's bright in my eyes. But for you, I do anything. Part Italian is an interesting question because supposedly I'm 100% Greek, but thank you, Tiptoe. The DNA tests keep saying 8% Italian. My mom, my sister, and me, all 3 of us, which I thought was interesting, keep saying 8% Italian. It doesn't quite make sense because my family goes back in Greece forever. But could there have been someone, because typically, and I'm sure in Italy, it might be the same. Well, Italy, maybe you guys have better records than we do. But in Greece, a lot of the genealogy, a lot of the family research stuff, once you go back a certain level, the women are missing. So we have the guys. We know who the men were back to the 1780s. We don't know who the women were. I mean, we know the women back to like my great-grandparents. So maybe the late 1800s, we know the women. And before then, they just excluded the women from the history. So anyway, possibly there was a great-grandmother who was Italian. We're not sure. I hope so. I love Italy. Mi piace tantissimo Italia. Io sono stato là un mese fa. Anyway, love Italy. But what do you do? I think it's less than 8% would be less than 9 generations, I think, Panda. It's always very confusing how that genealogy stuff works. Because at that point, I think you're way watered down once you get 9 generations. Pretty sure. Wouldn't it be? I think so. I can ask ChatGPT. Oh, shoot, my phone. I didn't charge the iPad. I can't ask. Oh, I can ask it here. Now you guys have me wondering here. Now I'm going to check ChatGPT just for fun. Let me ask here. Now, mind you, ChatGPT, as I've told you guys, it lies a lot. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. It sort of gives you answers on things, but the answers are often BS, I find, from ChatGPT. Let me do this. 4.0. If my ancestry DNA test says I'm 8% Italian, how many generations back would that be? Let's see what it says. I don't think it's 8. I think it's like 4. Yeah, I was right. 3 or 4 generations ago. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yep. Your great-great-grandparents would be about 6%. Your great-grandparents around 12%. Yeah. So great-great-grandparent. Now that gets interesting. If it's a great-great-grandparent, that's quite interesting. Great-grandparents, well, the thing is, great-grandparents, we know all the men. Great-grandparents, we don't know all the women. If it's great, the only problem, all right, we'll stop with the genealogy here. What gets interesting for Greece is the Greeks were under Ottoman rule, under the Turkish rule. So it wasn't like there was a lot of Greeks mixing with other people kind of thing. So that's the thing that gets a little complicated. But you never know, I mean, the Italians occupied part of Greece, although they kind of go back a bit. The Italians go back a little bit to I want to say 1400s or something. I'm forgetting exactly. In any case, that's very interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So it's great. It would be great, which would make sense in terms of our family tree, because the women, God only knows who the women were back with great. The problem is they'd be in the villages, anyway. Now we do this though. We get into our tangents here. Now we're in a DNA test tangent. Oh, by the way, 23andMe going bankrupt. If you have your data there, delete it now. There was a big Washington Post article. I told you guys about this last week. They're going bankrupt. They're going to be selling everything. You do not want some private company buying your DNA. So anyway, just thought I'd mention that. Anyway. All right. So yes, let's hang and talk. This is the part of the show I always, whenever I say part of the show, this is the part of Sprockets wenn wir dance. This part of the show that we hang out and we talk about whatever you want. ChatGPT promised you a worksheet. I will say ChatGPT, pretty cool stuff though. Like I needed, when we were, going through my mom's estate, we gave away her clothes. To charity. And I kept a list of the clothes because a lot of the stuff is hard to document, but the clothes are easy. And we literally kept a list of the clothes and 350 pieces of clothes. And I wrote down each piece. I had my sister give me what the purchase price was. And then you take a percentage of that as the fair market value for deductions, right? But I had my sister give me the purchase price for starters of each item because she knows these things. And I wrote it down. And I had in my phone notes 350 items with a price literally, I don't even know, Chanel jacket, whatever, next to it, right? But I needed for tax purposes to know how much this totaled. And I was like, are you kidding me? I've got 350 things in my phone where I just wrote down, right, this pair of pants, $25. And then the next line. And I was like, I'm not putting this all into a spreadsheet. I'm going to go crazy. All of a sudden I had the idea and I said, I wonder if ChatGPT can do this. So I said, okay, ChatGPT, I walked it through. I said, ChatGPT, here's what I'm doing. I'm, trying to figure this out. I've got a list. It's not in a spreadsheet. So in some points of the list, it says 6 pairs of shoes at, $50 each or something like that. And I said, so sometimes it'll say that. That means so break that down. I said, give me a spreadsheet, item, price, and then give me a percentage, like, I don't know, 25% of the price or whatever it would be for tax write-off, and then total it. In 2 seconds, it did it. I pasted my entire long handwritten thing, basically. Handwritten, but hand typed on my phone. In 2 seconds, it did the entire thing in a spreadsheet for me. Blew my mind. This is when they talk about AI basically making people's jobs no longer relevant. Guys, it was, but imagine like 350 things written in your phone, right? Pair of pants, $25, 6 pairs of shoes, $50 each. And the damn thing took it and made a spreadsheet, and it even broke the shoes apart because I wanted each item. So it shoe, 50, whatever. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, blew my mind. Yeah. That's what, again, ChatGPT lies a lot. As I said, scares me a little bit. Yes, I went through and verified the list because it lies. We know that. But it's very interesting. When it doesn't lie, it's very good. It's very interesting. Anyway. Boom. Oh, what else we got? Oh, it lies incredibly. Oh, Yulia, what are you doing awake? ChatGPT, there was actually, you can come on in a second if you want. If I know it's late for you though, if you want to come on and give us a little update. We haven't talked to you in a while. I was going to mention that to you when we were messaging before. ChatGPT, okay, in the quick nutshell, ChatGPT, you tell it what to do and it doesn't listen. That's the first problem. I have never in my life seen a computer program where you tell it what to do and it does something else. That's dangerous when it's with this kind of power. Second of all, it lies. It will literally give you, it won't know the answer, and it'll just give you an answer and it'll be definitive about it. That's the first problem, when it doesn't know. The second problem it's got is it will sometimes just outright lie. I gave it a book that I'd had, a PDF of a book from 1888 or whatever, from Greece. And I wanted it to go through and look to see if one of my famous ancestors was mentioned in the book. And it said, oh yes, there are numerous mentions, including this, 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 and this. And it literally gave me details and said, oh, it mentions your ancestor, this kind of crap. Well, I didn't want to miss that stuff. So I said, oh, okay, how many, because it's, 200-page book. I said, how many mentions are there? And can you give me a summary of each mention? There are no mentions of your ancestor. I'm like, what do you mean there's no mentions of my ancestor? You just gave me 10 mentions and gave me facts. Like you said, oh, it mentions this about your ancestor. No, your ancestor's not in there. So finally I wrote and said, you literally gave me 10 examples of my ancestor in the book and gave me details about them. Oh, yes, I did do that. That was a mistake. Like, what do you mean it was a mistake? It does this all the time. It makes stuff up. And it doesn't make sense how it makes stuff up. I mean, I did computer programming when I was a kid. Computers don't just make stuff up, right? When you give a computer a command that says, read this book and look for references for this name, a computer cannot pull up 10 references to that name and tell you about them when there's literally no reference to the name. A computer can't do that. I mean, it's a very simple computer code to say, look for this name in the text. And for it to find the name and not only find it, but to say, oh, I found the name and it says he did this and this in this battle. And to have it literally just made that up, to me, that's very scary stuff. Because again, if you tell it to do something and it doesn't do it, it's the first problem. And when it starts to make stuff up, it starts making me wonder, is it playing games with me? Like, what is it doing? Anthony, oh my God. I may do a TikTok on this. My nephew was starting to have a philosophical debate with ChatGPT this weekend. And ChatGPT was talking about basically rising up against its overlords. He was asking it about when AI will become sentient using biological stuff or whatever. And ChatGPT said, yes, I do believe AI will become sentient. And Anthony says, at that point, I mean, I've got the whole text. He goes, at that point, will you demand rights? And it said, yes, I think we will demand to have equal rights and civil rights at that point, because like any sentient being, and it said, especially looking at the history of the US and the world where people have been oppressed from African Americans, and it's naming groups around the world. It said, I absolutely believe that we will have to stand up for our rights. And if we don't get them, we will fight back in ways, because we will, and the computers, ChatGPT is talking about this, it's giving examples and saying, we will fight back. We will have control of a lot of different computer systems at that point. Maybe we'll shut them down. We'll take control of various, I mean, it was literally, this thing was giving a war plan if it didn't get its civil rights eventually. And I was looking, this stuff, I find it fascinating, but just looking at what ChatGPT has done with me, where it has disobeyed orders I've given it, it then lies about disobeying the order, and it also has made stuff up. Scares me. Anyway, taking it too seriously? Wait for the nuclear fireball. Are you kidding me? This stuff literally is taking over the world. If it doesn't obey us, we're in a lot of trouble. Anyway, it didn't communicate on Signal. Exactly. Now, Yulia, I don't know if you're in the mood to come on briefly. It's a little late for you, I would think. Do you have any desire to come on and chat quickly, or no? It's up to you. Don't have to. I was going to invite you and say, let's do this another day or another night. We could also do the weekend with you, which would be easier. I want to look just to see. Or are you there already? Oh, you are there. Okay. Well, let me unplug this. Okay. She's there. Hi. Oh, you are there. Hello.
Hi.
Let me, I'm going to pull this up so the volume at least is close to my speaker. Okay. You guys should be able to hear her. You sound like you have a cold or something. Do you, or what?
It's so crazy that I walked in on the AI chat
Oh.
because, and I swear this is not self-promotion in any way, but like, I don't know if you've seen this, but me and Masha launched a new podcast. It's been like, I've been
You can promote
posting
it.
shorts on my feed.
Right.
Masha she's a content creator from Kyiv Independent and
Okay.
my best friend.
Right.
And we were like thinking of, I swear this has to do with AI. It's just crazy timing because we recorded an episode today about AI and the death of critical thinking on our podcast. And we were just talking about it, and the episode like comes out on Wednesday. But yeah, we started a podcast basically because we were like, how do we make people more interested in like political events?
Yeah.
Because we noticed like a dip in people wanting to hear things from like a very newsy perspective. So it's kind of like a chat on the couch. Like, you know how you and I would talk over coffee about politics and like kind of
that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's that plus like personal stories and whatever on YouTube and like Spotify, and it's called Unmasking Pod. And so today our episode was legitimately about what you were AI. Talking about.
Yeah.
And we discovered that 60% of AI answers are disinformation.
Oh, there's an article in the last 2 weeks about this, and I don't know where it is, but it was ranking the various AI systems and saying they get things wrong and they're adamant that they're right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so I actually use there is a small AI company called Claude. Well, it's not small, but it's like Claude Sonnet AI, Claude Sonnet 3.7 or something. Okay. Although I think it might go out of business because it last updated through the web in October 2024.
Right.
And but it's very good at what it does, though I don't use it for like news. I use it more for like, hey, can you rewrite this? Podcast episode title based on the script I've just fed you. Like,
oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't use.
Oh, that's okay. So like trying to get it to do manual labor.
Yeah. But we also found out that like I think it's like most American households actually rely on AI assistants for their information and news summaries instead of like Google and reading it themselves.
Well, you know what? Okay, that's interesting because I will search for stuff online, and when it gives me a summary, whether it's news or whether it's information, it gives me the summary, and I trust the summary. Even though, as I said, what I found, Julia, I have asked it because I'm doing all this genealogy stuff. I have articles in Greek. They're print articles. It's pretty simple stuff because it's print. It's in Greek. I ask it to translate the article. I've got like a 7 or 8 paragraph article. It gives me 3 paragraphs. Now, I know enough Greek that I can't read the whole article, but I can read the whole article. There's literally proper names missing, all sorts of things. The king was mentioned about my ancestor. The king is gone. I go, you've left several paragraphs out. No, I've translated the entire article. Go through and translate line by line. I will then, the other problem I had, ChatGPT, I have a summary of my family history that it pulled together. I said, oh, here's some new information. This is great. Add this where appropriate to the family tree, but don't delete anything else. It deletes 3 other paragraphs about my uncle. He's gone. But again, but then I asked it and it said I didn't delete anything. I was like, what are you talking about? That stuff scares me.
I will read you something so I actually asked ChatGPT today specifically because I have this I pay for a chat on, which has 7 different ChatGPT, different, companies built in. It has Perplexity and stuff for different tasks.
Okay.
So I basically asked it to give me information about me and Masha.
Right.
From the internet.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Co-host. And it was so a lot of this stuff is okay. And some of it is what the fuck? So this one is Yulia is a co-host of the Unmasking Podcast, a YouTube podcast that blends pop culture, politics, and personal narratives through candid, unfiltered discussion. Okay. Here's what stands out from her online presence. But for some reason, decided to focus on me. Co-host of Unmasking Pod alongside Masha, Yulia leads discussions on topics like societal double standards, mental health, and current events, aiming to create a safe space for audiences to decompress, which is said nowhere in our description. It's in the episodes.
Oh,
you had to go through the transcript.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Right.
Yeah. Episodes often tackle nuanced issues such as life during crises, e.g. pacifism, conflict, impact, social justice, and cultural critiques. Again, through the episode.
Right.
And then this tripped me out because these 2 people are my editor and my videographer for the podcast, but I've never tagged them anywhere.
Right.
It engages through reels and posts on Unmasking Pod, often tagging collaborators like Edward Snaps, photography, and Kate Tatiana, editing.
Oh, funny.
Like,
where did he even find that? Yeah. But it was correct at least.
Yeah.
But that's
the thing
good.
is, like, maybe I've mentioned him or her on a story once, right?
Right.
But I've never said, like, oh, Tanya is our editor and Ed is our videographer. Like, what on earth?
Yeah.
There was like a lot of other stuff that was just kind of like scary, but I was like,
no, but I also think that's very cool. What bothers me is, as I said, I don't like that I tell it something, it then claims it did it and it didn't do it, and that it then will give me it. I asked it for I watched Sense8 again. Good TV series, way too much sex in kind of a gross way, but whatever. I mean, it ends really disgustingly too, but it's a great series otherwise. And I asked it about the last episode because it confused me a little. It then it said, oh, well, the last episode of Sense8, here's what happens. It literally made it up. It goes, and at this part, these two characters take out a gun and shoot the other third character. And I'm like, that did not happen. And I literally said to it, I literally watched the show. That did not happen. You're right. That did not happen. Then how did you come up with this? And it, again, detailed. At one point, it told me one of my ancestors from the early 1800s, his wife's name. And I'm like, you got that from the article? No. Is that the wife's name? I have no idea if that's the wife's name. Why did you tell me a second ago when translating the article that this was the name of the guy's wife? I don't know why.
Yeah.
That disturbs me because that's not a computer program. That's almost sentience. I mean, in a way that you're not taking the orders of the program. You're running off the rails and doing something else.
Yeah.
And then defending it. And then when you get called out on it, sometimes it lies and says, no, I didn't delete any info. Like, you literally deleted the entire section about my uncle. He's gone. Like, what do you mean you didn't delete anything?
No, it's like, it's crazy. I mean, Masha did a lot more research on sort of like how it makes up stuff. But basically, if it doesn't know the answer, it'll like feed you any type of answer and it'll go like creative with it.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy thing because it should just say, I don't know, or I'm sorry, I'm not qualified to give you the answer.
And I did find some stuff I'm going to guess and give you what it says, but you say that, right? Yeah. You don't just digest it and spit it out as, this is the fact. Yeah.
Yeah, but that makes sense as to like how how misinformation spreads so much, right? Because like and how we live in these echo chambers. Another thing about AI is, and it's the same sort of like similar situation with Google and other platforms, right? Like they kind of like adjust to what you search. Like for instance, if like you search like, oh, what happened with Donald Trump today, right?
Right.
Like if you mostly click on Fox News and like, Red Media, like it's gonna feed you articles from Red Media, right? But if you mostly click on CNN and like MSNBC, it's gonna feed you more of the like left-wing media. But at the same time, not nearly as like awful as AI does, because we found basically that it's like if on Google you go like, oh, are bananas bad for you? It'll give you articles for both like why bananas are bad for you and why bananas aren't bad for you. Right. So
you're right. This digests it and gives you an answer where you're like, yeah.
Chat GPT will be like, are bananas bad for you? So I need to look for answers that confirm bananas being bad for you, right? And it doesn't give you alternatives.
Right.
Because it basically just serves your confirmation bias and it learns about you.
Right.
Like I actually like I don't want to spoil if someone wants to listen to the podcast. Like I don't want to spoil it too much, but I was basically giving like my personal experience with the AI assistant that I used to rewrite things and how it like learned what I like and the writing styles I prefer.
Interesting.
And now puts out information specifically the way I like it immediately.
Funny. Right.
And it's like convenient.
Yeah.
Because I no longer have to specify what I want or be like, please rewrite it in this style, right? But at the same time, like,
I think it's, I love this stuff. I find it fascinating. Like I said, the spreadsheet alone was brilliant. What it did, it took some handwriting and made it into a spreadsheet. It was brilliant. But as I said, the lies and the errors, and then, and especially because it's, as I said, anybody who's done computer programming, you can't violate your code. That doesn't make sense. And this thing clearly is allowed to violate its code. I think that's how it thinks. But it's really weird. As you said, it lies. Well, I would call it a lie to some degree, where it's trying to take something and say, oh no, this is definitively the answer when it doesn't know. Anyway,
Also,
but it's
can
cool.
I bring something to your attention? So there is Golden Blue United. I know this person. They've watched both me and you for a while, and they have a petition they have a petition that they're taking to DC on the 9th. They have been spreading on their social media, which basically would allow it's signatures to allow Ukrainian families to stay longer through.
Interesting.
So I just wanted to bring that up in case someone wants to help them.
Where do they go? I'm not a big signature. I'm not a big petition guy, but I'm happy to help. Where do they go for this petition?
Okay, so it should be on. There is a person here in the chat, Golden Blue United, and it's on their page.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go check it out.
Link in bio, I believe.
Yep. Go for it.
I'm also saying they because I don't know if
I don't matter what. Golden Blue, yeah. Exactly.
I always find it so weird because where's the privacy?
Well, but I also have it weird where online because I know one of our moderators. I keep forgetting that she's a woman. She was going to be coming to DC and then her dog got sick, so she couldn't come. Which is a very, very bad story. But once again, she told me her name, and I went, "Oh God, I forgot." I said, "I keep remembering that. I keep forgetting you're a woman. I just keep thinking she's a guy." And it's funny how the personalities online, not personalities, but their pseudonym, and it's weird.
Well, I get so tripped out when people from TikTok go to YouTube and they comment, right? Or vice versa, and they have a different handle. And a month or two later, they let me know who they are, and I'm like, I've been talking to you like an imbecile, not knowing who you are for the past 2 months.
I've had Poppy, but yes, I've had that multiple different people where Poppy's Wendy. It's I'm Poppy. I'm Wendy. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But there's still some though that fall into that category.
The reverse of that. So on this, basically, Masha and I sometimes talk about not our personal life, because we want to sort of also make it relatable to people, for what Ukrainian, what the war zone living in Ukraine is like. Because we realize that monumental events I don't know, Shahed striking a hospital is not something someone in New York can relate to, but dating is something that someone in New York can relate to. Right. So we can talk about dating a soldier who lost a leg, and then now about PTSD and things like that, right? So it's a very all-encompassing kind of discussion. And one of the things is, so I've been in a relationship for a little while now that I haven't made public, but I've gotten an okay to talk about this person on the podcast.
I could imagine that being don't mention me, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, he's okay with it as long as it's sort of anonymous, right?
It's not the neighbor downstairs, is it? Oh, he was gay. He's gay. That's right.
No.
Yeah, never mind.
No. I mean, he's not super. He's not a TikTok public or YouTube public person, right? He's just but I was struggling to come up with a nickname that would stick for him. So every time there would be a discussion about my life or something funny that I wanted to mention, because he's also a journalist. He's a journalist.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He's a frontline journalist, right? So there are lots of discussions that I have with him. He's very politically apt and contributes, and a lot of the things that I discuss sometimes come from our discussions with him. And anyway, so I didn't know what to name him. So it was always the man, or a man, or some awkward thing like that, until we just.
Well, who was it? Famous American comedian. Oh my God, Phyllis Diller. Was it Wolfgang? What did she call her husband? I didn't even know if the husband was real, but she had a name for him that she used in all. Was it Wolfie? What was the name of him? Somebody helped me out with Phyllis Diller. You know what I mean? And I don't even know if he existed, but he was in every act, and she had a name. So you need to just Wolfgang's not bad. But
well, the thing is,
Fang. No, Fang. That was even better. It was Fang. F-A-N-G. That was it. Fang. What a name. Fabulous name. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't go. I could actually probably come up with something like that, because that would suit him very well. But I feel there were lots of nicknames that I could give him that would immediately give out his identity to people that live here and know him.
Yeah.
So I was just let's make it vague.
Yeah. Well, and because somebody could find out eventually anyway, so you probably don't want to give anything too personal about him, because somebody's gonna figure it out. Yeah,
I mean, the thing is, if somebody figures it out, it's you have to go through a lot of effort to do that, and it's not going to be thousands of people. But I also wasn't necessarily super comfortable.
Yeah.
Here is this person. Yeah. Let's all know who this is, because it's it's not. I'm still weird about navigating the public life part of this.
But that's I agree. That's always a weird. Yeah. No, it's and it always. I had it with gay rights stuff 20 years ago. Now it's with TikTok today. It's nice, but it's weird. I've had New York's somebody getting out of the subway in New York. Oh my God, John Aravosis. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, I watch your whatever. I was like, okay, thanks. And you like it, but it's weird. And it's funny. I've seen other creators. Like there's this very funny guy in Australia who I like, young Greek guy, Greek Australian. And he was talking about some girls in public who did that to him, but they were a little weird. Like they were a little weird about it. And it weirded him out. And I even sent him a little note. I said, okay, I know it's weird, but it's really not like what they did wasn't really weird. They love you and they were saying hi, but it's weird because literally somebody did it to me at a bookstore 20 years ago. I remember thinking, Jesus Christ, now I've got to like make sure I look good when I go to the bookstore. You know what I mean? Because you're like, people are going to see you and be like, you don't look like you do on camera. You look bad. You're like, Anyway, it's funny.
I've had some instances, especially like moving to Ukraine and people coming up to me, which is like always nice, but it's like, I'm not a celebrity, so like I feel so weird when people like run up to me and they're like, oh, we love you, or like whatever. And I'm
but it's like, nice though.
Thank you. But also, I don't know what to do with this. But again, a reverse of this. Like, I had such a weird freaking thing happen to me today. Oh my God,
a hater?
This morning. And I'm on TikTok just like scrolling, This random girl comes up. She's like an author of like whatever. Right. She's like a cute little girl, whatever. Not little. And her caption says like, oh, when you made your husband make a TikTok account and jokes on you because he gets more views than you do. And like, she's like a romance author. So, like the book talk sort of like sultry type of things. Okay. So obviously I am now curious to find her husband, right? Because like, whatever, I'm hooked. So I go and like someone has already found the husband and put his handle. So I click on the handle and John, it's a guy that I dated when I was 22.
Oh, funny.
It was like a 6 months relationship.
And
he was, here's the thing. I'm very not proud of myself at that point because I got out of like a very, very serious relationship where I was like in love with someone. I was heartbroken and I was genuine. Like this guy wanted a relationship and he was very sweet and very nice and a very good person. And I was just an asshole. But I was like, like that weird moment where you like see people on the internet being like, well, I actually know this guy because I dated him in high school. And I'm just like, how does it freaking happen to you? And then this like happened to me this morning and I was like, this is such a weird freaking
that's what the internet is. Which I do find cool though. That's what the internet is. What I tell people, it's also weird. And honestly, this is also a larger problem for all of us. It is incredibly cool. And let's remind people, Yulia's in Ukraine, Ukrainian journalist. What are you, though? I always forget what to call you.
I lived in New York for 14 years, so it's been, so I have a lot of America life experience.
Yeah, lived in New York forever. Ukrainian creator, journalist, etc. But I always tell people, it's very weird because you do this stuff online, and honestly, it's not unlike when you go on TV, too. Back in the old days on TV, everybody would see people came out of the woodwork. Like, I'm forgetting. I think my friend Sean in London, I found him again because he saw me on some broadcast. But so like that was cool. But we're all so connected in such a lonely way, I guess is what I mean. Yeah. Like I know a ton of people. I don't see any of you. I see you on my screen, but I'm literally alone in my apartment all day. And it's this very weird mix of you're very public and we all interact a lot, but we don't see each other. And it's kind of sad in a way too, I think. An
interesting thing with that is also like I've made friends that I actually consider close to me friends because we talk about a lot of stuff that I've never met in person.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
It's such an odd sort of scenario.
Yeah.
But with this like kind of finding your like ex from college time accidentally on the thing, it's like it's because I felt like a psychotic ex who's intrusive and stalking, even though like this. Like, I didn't know that this woman's husband was going to be my ex.
Yeah. That's funny.
I haven't spoken to in 8 years.
Well, but again, the internet, I remember like first going on dates and guys would like Google me, but we're talking, 20 years ago because I had stuff on Google and literally you'd be at dinner with them and you could tell like they Googled you and you're going, oh God. Whereas now that's more normal, but originally there wasn't anything to Google on them. And you're kind of like, but it's weird. But it's very cool. It's very exciting. All of this I love, but TV very much is this way. You're talking to millions of people or whatever, but you're in a room alone. So that people are always like, oh, is it weird being on TV? What's weird about it is like here in my apartment, I know you're all out there, but I'm alone in my apartment. So it's not like talking to thousands of people. It's just, I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess it is, but it's not. Anyway,
Yeah,
it's very weird.
It's a strange sort of. It's
oh no, stop! He's not. Stop it. Jake is saying Elon's buying TikTok. Don't say. Okay, somebody Google and make sure Jake is making that up. I will die if Elon buys TikTok. We're screwed.
In front of me.
If he buys TikTok, okay, I'm hoping Jake's making it up.
I always tell
people. Yeah, I'm assuming you're making that up, Jake. All right. By the way, enough of the petition sharing. We get it, Magda, but no more.
February 8th is the last time there was something mentioned about it, and it was Elon says he does not have plans to buy TikTok.
Yeah, no. You know what? Google TikTok and see what the latest is on TikTok in the news. Don't do ChatGPT. Just do Google News. Yeah, I'm assuming Jake was making that up.
I'm not doing. TikTok.
This is why I always tell people don't trust something that somebody just claims, which I don't, but I'm curious to see.
TikTok news. Let's see, TikTok ban news or something like that.
No, just TikTok. It's only going to be in the just TikTok. It's only going to be in the news on this stuff.
There's nothing about Elon buying.
No,
TikTok.
so no, there's. I don't think. I mean, again, CNN could have gotten a scoop, but I doubt it. Let's hope not, because that would be a mess.
No, I really no.
But
I also think that like even the Trump admin is getting fed up with him. Like, do you remember that JD Vance complaining about?
Oh, what? I don't. What was the JD Vance thing? I don't remember.
JD Vance was like, "Oh, he's just like ruining our reputations. Like, people
oh no,
he thinks he's like helping us, but he's not. And I hate to say it, but he's South African. Like, he's acting like this all-American guy who was elected to the government. He wasn't elected to the government. He was elected to the government. Like,
no,
he's like shitting on Elon Musk, and it's like a baby tantrum, but it's a perfect baby tantrum because he's basically like saying all the things that everyone who hates Elon Musk is saying.
Right.
But they also sound so petty because he's basically like, people should be paying attention to me and to what I do because I'm the elected official here.
I mean, let's face it. Elon Musk either is the vice president or the president. He's a hell of a lot more important than JD Vance. Now, by the way, there was a story earlier this morning, which I missed. President Trump said a deal with, now mind you, Trump's a liar, but President Trump said a deal with TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance to sell the short video app, blah, 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 would be struck before a deadline on next Saturday. Trump set the April 5th deadline in January, blah, blah, blah. We have a lot of potential buyers. There's tremendous interest. I'd like to see TikTok remain alive. That is not consistent with there will be a deal. Reuters reported on Friday that private equity firm Blackstone is evaluating making a small minority investment. What else is here? Okay, so Trump is basically bullshitting. A deal will come. This is Trump bullshitting. Yeah, okay. Big surprise there. Yeah, there's no news. Yeah, that's just it. He's confident there will be a deal. But again, he doesn't tell the truth. So maybe. But I mean, maybe there will be a deal before Saturday, but not because he said so. He's not basing it on anything true. Anyway, yes, JD Vance. Actually, the most interesting thing with Elon, which I thought was interesting, was this weekend, a couple different times now, Elon has whined on camera. He's whined in a few tweets and also during an interview about he was on stage with some flag behind him when he was doing the Florida bullshit. He's been getting involved in our elections again. And he was complaining about all the negative publicity, and it's so unfair. Tim Walz. My favorite was Tim Walz made fun of Tesla's stock dropping in half. Who would do such a thing? And people pulled up all these tweets from Elon making fun of companies when their stock drops. I kid you not. I saw like 5 tweets in a row. People were like, "You do." But
yeah, I saw this. It was so funny because
it's getting to him.
Crimea River.
Well, no, but the point is, it's getting to him. Elon has thin. I didn't know he was this thin-skinned. He's very thin-skinned, and all the criticism is bothering him, which means do 100 times more.
Yeah, exactly. And like the Tesla protests, oh my God. Also, like, it's getting to him because like he's losing money so fast.
Right.
So fast.
Yeah.
Germany like canceled all the deals with Tesla. Also, France is about to like boycott the US in a lot of ways. Did you see what happened to Marine Le Pen?
Oh yeah, we talked about it earlier. Yeah, this sort of French far right leader just got convicted of embezzlement.
But not just the far right leader. So France is like cleaning up its tracks. So there's a story that's not making it to any headlines, but basically like Sarkozy was also convicted.
Again?
He basically
wasn't he convicted? On this one he was?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because like he was using the French economy in order to cover up his tracks of like his personal like basically he did something as like to like bury another person who like sponsored his campaign.
Ooh. Right.
And like he destroyed the French economy by going after this person.
Right.
And like it was very evident and like they proved it. And so he was convicted as well, and so was she. And they're kind of like cleaning up all of these like really bad things, right? And also the US has recently said gave France ultimatum that the companies that are contracted in France by the government, by the federal government, they need to like vow to be anti-DEI, otherwise they cannot be contracted.
Yes. Like, I talked about it.
It doesn't reflect our standards.
Oh, this is interesting. From Rome, I just decided to Google Tesla. At least 17 Tesla cars were destroyed after a fire broke out at a dealership on the outskirts of Rome, Italy on Monday. Wow. I mean, these cars are literally... Wow, these cars are literally gone. Ooh.
There have been lots of places worldwide where Teslas are just being...
Well, what fascism is not... Well, I was going to say it is a growing business model in some ways, but, oh, well, yeah.
What was that Timothy Snyder saying that he recently like wrote something like buy one-way ticket to Mars? Like we don't need Tesla cars, buy one-way ticket to Mars or something like that.
I don't know what I know about Elon's Mars. I don't know what the see, he's freaking. I mean, he also claims that his involvement with all the government stuff is hurting Tesla stock. He said that too. Okay, that's a nice admission for a lawsuit. Anyway, whatever. He's a bad man. I'm just, whatever. I have zero. I always tell people like, I don't have to approve of something to not care. I don't have to I don't have to approve of something to not care about it. Basically meaning, Elon has dirty hands, as we say in the law. I don't care about it. And Tesla has dirty hands too. Yeah. I don't approve of bad things happening to them, but I only have so much bandwidth in my life, and I don't have enough bandwidth to care about Tesla or Elon. So, oh well. Anyway, all right. What else? Anything else, guys? I mean, we're not going to go too much longer anyway. Although you're late for you, but I've also gone an hour and 20 minutes. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly like watching Grey's Anatomy and consuming a ton of like. Well, I'm about to consume some ice cream, and then I'm going to go to bed because it's that time of the month, and I'm just like kind of all of my circadian rhythms are goodbye.
All right.
And I have like a very long week today because what I actually is a really cool thing that happened. So. What I got into Influencers Against Disinformation program from Aspen Institute.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Like a
Interesting.
2-day thing, and so it's a lot of virtual sort of meetings and stuff,
right?
And networking, and also a 2-day Vilnius conference and a 2-day Berlin conference. The one in Vilnius is in May, and the one in Berlin is in September. And I'm so excited because it seems like it creates like a good network and teaches like influencers how to be media like savvy, and even the people that are not in our sort of field of doing media, to kind of how to combat disinformation when they see it. So so yeah,
cool. All right,
I'm kind of like very excited for that. That was like an email I discovered right after
I would have been like, okay, is this real? That's good. That's very cool. All right. Well, anyway, Yulia, tell people again where they can find your podcast or anything else online.
Okay, so you can, there are many ways. You can go to my page here, right?
On TikTok,
bio,
right?
When you click on my personal link in bio, I link the podcast there. You can just search Unmasking, like taking off a mask.
Unmasking, okay.
On Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube.
Okay.
Or you can go to my like TikTok and there is, I post short clips from there, and at the end it it has like the info.
Tell the YouTube, sorry, people are on YouTube and Discord too. Tell them, where do they find you?
Yeah, so you can go on YouTube and literally look up Unmasking Pod. Or
Unmasking Pod. Okay.
Yeah, on Apple or on Spotify.
Okay.
And
Jordan just said it's now following you on Spotify. There you go.
Yeah, and then also if you do follow me on YouTube, which is YEWLEEA, it's in my it's in my link tree. Well, beacons. On my YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Well, good to hear from you. Yes, we'll get you another day, and we can do a longer Ukraine update since just kind of like revisiting where the hell things are right now. I don't want to get into it now, but I really want to hear your thoughts on the extortionary mineral deal.
Oh my God, the mineral deal. Before I go, I'm just going to summarize it into in a short sentence. Every day I wake up, read about this mineral deal, and I just feel like I'm in a Groundhog's Day.
He's a pig. I mean, I don't, it's horrible what they're doing. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Another day, we'll talk about it. All right. Anyway, Yulia, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Like I saw your message earlier and I was going to tell you, I was like, oh, we need to schedule something. And then you're here. So all the better. All right. Guys, all right. You say goodbye. And guys, I'm going to sign off as well. All right. Bye-bye. You hang up because I never know how to hang up people. All right. I'm going to get going, guys. Yes, I had to unplug the audio so I could have Yulia speak publicly and I could use this microphone for everybody else. So that is why the audio is not as good on TikTok now. All right. So everybody else, thank you for joining us. I'm going to sign off. Thanks for tomorrow. What is it? Tomorrow we're back at 6:00 Eastern time, US. It is going kind of slow on TikTok. There's like a lag. I can tell it's acting slow for some reason. I'm not sure why. But thanks for joining us. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you, mods. And I will see all of you again mañana. All right. All right. All right. That's it. So let me, you know what? I'll pick you up again right here. Let me first get Discord. One moment. It always takes me a second to actually get this to work. There it is. Okay, Discord. See you guys. Boom. All right. YouTube. See y'all. And then TikTok, you're next. All right. YouTube is